Welcome back to Tank Time, where I teach you how to lower your score without having to work on your golf swing. On today's agenda, we're going to be talking about the bump and run. And no, that is not a dance move. It's a type of chip. We're not going to hit 100% of our greens and regulations, so we need a high percentage shot to help you keep that score down. You can use a bump and run from a lot of different places, but today we're going to talk about when the pin is at the back of the green and you have a ton of space between your ball and the pin. We want to give you the highest chance of getting up and down. So let's get you good at golf. Bump and run is not the most glamorous of shots, but what makes it so effective?
Because it's kind of like a putt.
That's correct. The bump and run is a lot like a putt. You keep the ball low to the ground and allow it to release to the hole. When you're trying to carry the ball a long way, there's a lot of room for error. But when you're keeping the ball low to the ground, it's a lot easier to get the ball to the hole. When we watch golf on TV, they're showing all of the cool up and downs, the tough, low percentage shots that every single person plays. And we're getting a highlight reel of the coolest, weirdest, toughest shots of the day. So amateurs like to watch golf and think that chipping with a 60-degree is the only way to play. They don't like to film those low running shots because it's not very cool until they make it. So we do have a skewed perception of what kind of chips pros use. And I'm telling you, all the pros are very excellent bump and runners.
So here we are at a very straightforward chip where there's a ton of green between me and the pin. Let's see exactly how far it is.
It's 35 yards away. This kind of chip is fun because you have a lot of options. You can go all the way up to a 7-iron here. As a rule of thumb, you want to land it about 1/3 of the way to the hole. And then you pick the club that's going to allow you to release the rest of the way. If you use more loft, you're going to have to carry it further to get it to the hole. Looking at this shot, if I want to carry it about 1/3 of the way, I'm going to have to hit a 7-iron. If you haven't seen my fundamentals of chipping and how to chip de-lofted chip shot, go check it out. So I have a pretty perfect lie. There's a little bit of grain, but it's not going to be too crazy, especially since I'm hitting a bump and run. Picked out my landing area about 1/3 of the way, and we have to remember, overall, this is a 35-yard shot, so we're going to have to give it a little bit. So with the 7-iron, I'm going to set up with a square club face. I don't need to turn it down. There's so little loft on this anyway. So I'm going to set up with the ball at the back of my stance, hands a little bit forward in line with my left leg, weights on the left side, found my landing area. Now I'm going to give it a chip. Do you see how low that ball stayed to the ground? And it rolled for a really long time. This is a very simple, straightforward, easy chip shot that you guys can use to help you get up and down. It's a lot like a putter. It's just going to come out a little hotter off the face, get a little bit of loft to carry this fringe and this nasty junk that's in front of the green and get the ball roll into the hole. I'm gonna hit this chip shot now with my lob wedge, and you're gonna see how big my swing is and how much higher the ball goes compared to the 7-iron. When the ball's not rolling a lot, you have to be very precise on where you land it. So I'm just gonna show you how much harder I have to swing to get the ball there with a lob wedge. That was a pretty good shot, but I couldn't even get it inside the 7-iron bump and run. And it takes a lot more effort to hit a shot with your lob wedge than it does with the 7-iron. If you're enjoying my content, please give me a subscribe. Chipping is all about feel and finesse, so it's gonna take a couple practice shots before you get a hang of chipping with a 7-iron, because it's gonna come out really different than using a lob wedge and a sand wedge. But we have 14 clubs in our bag for a reason. You shouldn't always just chip with your lob wedge, sand wedge, gap wedge, pitching wedge. You can chip with your 8-iron, 9-iron, 7-iron. You paid for all those clubs, you might as well use them. Golf is just a collection of your best misses, and you're gonna miss it a lot closer with your 7-iron or 8-iron bump and run chip than you will with your lob wedge flop shot. Golf on TV is really glamorized, and sometimes you just gotta use what works. We don't have to be super flashy all the time, but when your scores start getting lower and lower, it won't matter. There aren't any pictures on your scorecard. So please like, subscribe, and stay tuned for my next episode.